Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the Prime Minister announcing plans for multi-million-dollar renewable infrastructure in Abaco and Grands Bahama. Police release an ID for the country's latest drowning victim. And the newest Miss Bahamas Universe explains why her role is more than glitz and glam. $40 million in renewable energy infrastructure is on the way for two major islands. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Jamila Mizik. The Davis administration will invest more than $36 million in renewable infrastructure on Abaco and East Grands Bahama. The news coming hours ago as a $5 million microgrid solar system was being commissioned on Ragged Island.
Today, as I said, it's also about all the people of the Bahamas. To recognize that small communities in our family islands is an essential thread in our national fabric and deserve our robust commitment and support. Friends, today was a long time coming.
The announcement by Prime Minister Philip Davis also detailing a $14.2 million investment in a 25-megawatt battery storage system at the Blue Hills Power Station in New Providence. The Prime Minister says plans to assess family islands for the installation of solar energy will soon get underway. As for the newly minted microgrid for Ragged Island, Davis says the commissioning means more resilience in the face of future hurricanes while providing greener energy. Our Bethany McDermott, who was on the island today, is just back and will have a full report in our news this weekend. Switching to news from the courts, two men on bail for murder are back in custody on a new murder charge. 23-year-old Romero Roll of Quarry Mission Road and 22-year-old Marvin Augustine of Dean Street appearing before Acting Chief Magistrate Subusolo Swain today, charged with the August 6th murder of 21-year-old Hyunda Lewis. Prosecutors say the occupants of a black car shot Lewis multiple times as he sat outside a home on Maxwell Lane. Roll and Augustine were not asked to enter pleas to the murder charge and were remanded to prison until November 29th. At the time of the murder, both men were on bail for the June 14th, 2021 murder of Stravante Moss at Palama Street. Lewis is also accused of the February 3rd, 2018 murder of Okel Solomon. His trial was scheduled to begin before Justice Renee McKay on August 22nd. In other news, the Attorney General explaining why a recent position taken by National Security Minister Wayne Munro and Police Commissioner Clayton Fernander on bail for alleged murderers may not be feasible. The National Security Chief and Commissioner agreeing this week that they would rather see alleged murderers remanded, as recently released stats showing 55% of murder victims are alleged killers out on bail. Here's why Pinder says he believes keeping murderers can't happen at this time.
Anything we do has to be in the purview of the Constitution and guidance by the Privy Council, which is the ultimate court of the land. Now, do I think that harsh sentences should be put on murderers and we shouldn't let them roam the streets? Of course I do, but it has to be done properly.
The Attorney General noting, however, there may be a way around based on a ruling by the Court of Appeal.
The Court of Appeal recently ruled that they could deny bail to a murderer if they thought that releasing him would be a threat to innocent people, not necessarily himself, to innocent people. And the Court of Appeal has denied bail in that circumstance where they thought releasing them would be a threat to innocent people. Now what you're looking at is going at another level. They'll be a threat to themselves because if they're out on bail, they are target. We're not quite there yet.
Bahamian men and women may soon have equal rights to pass on their citizenship as government will amend the Bahamas Nationality Act to equalize access for men and women. The news coming from Attorney General Ryan Pinder, who says there will be no third referendum on citizenship in the country. A constitutional referendum was held back on the 7th of June 2016, where voters were asked whether they approve of 4 separate constitutional amendments, including equal rights for citizenship. All 4 proposals were rejected. During a briefing at the office of the Prime Minister, Pinder telling reporters about progress on the legislation.
There's going to be no referendum on this issue. Your first question is, we look to equalize the transmission of citizenship for Bahamians. The first iteration of that legislation was given to me last week. I'm in the process of reviewing that, providing comments back to the drafters to eventually share with the Minister of Immigration for his review and comment, and then after that it will come to Cabinet.
Still quite a warm night in the capital. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest conditions. Greg?
Thanks, Jamila, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this beautiful Friday evening. Temperatures a little on the warm side after a hot and steamy day. 85 degrees outside our studios right now with a few clouds. We still call it warm. Easterly winds at 8 miles per hour and your feels-like temperature at 92 degrees. Outside on the satellite, well, we have an upper level low that's spinning across our area, triggering a couple isolated showers, mainly across the northwest and the southeast Bahamas. The central Bahamas pretty much quiet, but that upper level low is going to slide out towards the west, and the surface ridge of high pressure will remain in firm control of our weather over the weekend. So we're looking at some beautiful conditions tonight as well as tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come in our news, a young drowning victim is identified. Miss Bahamas Universe details her love for pageantry, and hundreds of children get new tennis for the upcoming school year. That's coming up when our news returns. New tonight, police identifying the child who allegedly drowned in the Seabreeze Canal 3 days ago as 13-year-old Kensley Samuel Elias of Nassau Village. It was shortly after 3 p.m. on Tuesday when police say a group of children were swimming in the canal when the suspected drowning happened. This latest incident following another child drowning in a pond in Yellow Elder. Police later identified the boy as 11-year-old Gerardo Taylor Jr., whose mother has since denied criminal responsibility in her son's death. Stephanie Hanna, who is out on bail, is facing up to 2 years in prison if convicted of cruelty to children. Meanwhile, those recent drownings have prompted public outcry about keeping kids safe during summer months. Tonight, our Megan Shepard speaks to the Bahamas Red Cross about life-saving techniques.
If you're on a scene and someone there is unresponsive, the first thing to do is to call 911 and then check for breath and a pulse. And that is when you begin chest compressions.
You want to do 30 compressions and 2 breaths each time for every cycle, and this would only take 2 minutes, okay? And that'll be 5 cycles for 2 minutes. You're going to do 30 compressions and 2 breaths only until 911 arrives or someone else comes to relieve you.
Volunteers of the Bahamas Red Cross are emphasizing the need for public awareness. Lifeguard and CPR instructor Crystal Carey.
We also have drowning in tubs, in buckets. We also have the dry drowning, where sometimes it doesn't even seem to be possible, but nursing mothers can also drown their baby by breastfeeding.
Now, if you consider yourself a strong swimmer and attempt to rescue someone that is drowning, Carrie says there may be risk involved.
When all goes wrong, the best thing you can do is to keep the person's face, the mouth, the nose, the face out of the water. What if they tried to hug me from behind and start choking me and I can't breathe and I go under? So I also had to teach them how to safely get out of a chokehold per se and actually save themselves for that brief moment, submerge themselves deeper and then come up.
first aid instructor, Norma Roberts, says it's also important to ensure that your children are aware of CPR techniques.
We have trained the teachers, but it's important, like she said, for the students to know also. So I think we need to start training where the kids are aware of what to do. At a certain age, then they cannot be certified, but the fact that they take the classes, they're able to help someone.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
Her family and friends may know her as Angel Cartwright, but 2 weeks ago she snagged a new title, Miss Bahamas Universe 2022. I sat down with the new queen today to discuss her journey to the coveted crown.
I represented the Bahamas as Miss Teen Bahamas International 2013. I had the opportunity to compete internationally at Miss Teen International, and for the first time, the Bahamas placed in the top 10.
Miss Bahamas Universe 2022 Angel Cartwright is no stranger to pageantry. She was just 18 years old when she first took the stage. The private banker by profession says her love for pageantry challenges her personal growth and allows her to bring awareness to initiatives close to her heart.
My platform is promoting conservation and preventing climate change. I come from a family of commercial fishermen in Long Island, and Long Islanders, like many other family islanders, depend very heavily on the beauty and bounty of the island for their livelihoods.
She says despite the beauty of it all, pageantry is much more than glitz and glam.
One of the joys of competing as a young woman is the glitz and the glam, hair, makeup, gowns, but it's so much more than that. We had Toastmasters training, mental health training, speech and etiquette training, so there's so much more to pageantry, and pageantry has evolved so much over the years that it's so much more than glitz and glam.
And she's sharing this advice to young women and girls who aspire to take a pageant stage.
I wouldn't say pageantry solely, but focus on whatever area it may be. It can be art, it can be speech development and competitions. I would say find your niche, find your purpose, and pursue that.
Now for an extended look of our sit down with Miss Bahamas Universe 2022, tune in to Our News Weekend Edition. When Our News comes back from the break, the VAT holiday returns just in time for back-to-school shopping. A well-known U.S. university gives away hundreds of free tennis to local children, and a new summer fest for families comes to Nassau this weekend. We have the details when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. If you're a parent planning to spend money at home for back-to-school supplies, then you'll be happy to hear about an upcoming VAT holiday. The Department of Inland Revenue releasing new dates for this year's back-to-school VAT-free holiday. Parents will be able to purchase supplies and materials between August 22nd through September 11th. Items listed as school supplies include personal computers and tablets, along with their accessories, school stationery, hair accessories under $30 per unit, uniforms, footwear, school-related bags, and more. For more on the back-to-school VAT holiday, you can visit Bahamas Ministry of Finance Facebook page for the extensive list. Meanwhile, children from 4 urban renewal centers were in for a treat today as the University of Kentucky's men's basketball team, the Kentucky Wildcats, collaborated with the Samaritan's Feet to bring them a mini basketball camp and shoe giveaway at Bahamas this morning. Armelina Leonard was there.
The University of Kentucky basketball team is in the Bahamas for the Players First Bahamas basketball camp. But today they've teamed up with Samaritan's Feet to give back to kids in the Bahamian community.
Kentucky Wildcats men's coach John Calipari says these initiatives are part of an effort to create players who are servant leaders in the community.
My players have said it's one of the most impactful things that we've done as a team over the years.
Founder and CEO of Samaritan's Feet International, Manny Ahomi, was born in Nigeria and at the age of 9 was the first person in his community to own a pair of shoes after winning them in a shootout contest. Ahomey says that life-changing event later inspired him to start his own organization.
We started Samaritan's Feet in 2003 with a vision to go put shoes on the feet of 10 million people around the world. And as of today, we've now served up over 9 million people in over 109 countries.
When not coaching the kids in the minicamp, the Kentucky Wildcats basketball players are at the shoe drive station, washing and sizing the feet of Bahamian little ones for their new shoes. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mario Boleg, says this event not only helps inner-city children to meet future sports stars, but also helps the up-and-coming athletes to stay grounded.
To mix and mingle with them and also allow these gentlemen to understand that they must give back in some time in life. Knowing that in the future they're going to be millionaires, it's important for them to know that as they set their foundation.
The minister says events like this one help the greater economy through the tourism wave basketball teams can draw in.
You're talking about millions of dollars, and on an average, even when I was the previous president of the Bahamas Basketball Federation, we did an analysis, and we did about $3 million in the space of 2 weeks. We saw was an economic impact.
Youth Sports and Culture Project Coordinator, Pastor Henry Higgins, says there are over 250 children from 4 urban renewal centers set to receive shoes.
This gives our children hope. It makes them understand that they're not all by themselves, but there are people in the world who care about them.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
The country sports chief appearing on RTV's Locker Room with Marcellus Hall earlier today, sharing more about government support for Bahamian athletes. The sports minister recalling some recent wins by Bahamian star athletes and assuring government support of their efforts.
Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Boleg, making an appearance on today's edition of the Locker Room. Boleg, who recently made a whirlwind tour of a number of international sporting events featuring Bahamian athletes, talked about the importance of governmental support and being there to show that the government had their back.
But it was a great experience, and what was the most grateful experience for me was to see Shawnee won the gold and Cap got off for her career.
Yeah.
And also the appreciation those athletes had, just their mindset and their faces when they see me were there to support them. Those who would have haven't made the finals and that, but I was right there after their races to support them and let them know that, hey, you did your best. The government is here to support you. We appreciate your efforts. Continue going and doing what you got to do.
And that's a quick check on sports here on this Friday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. To catch the rebroadcast of that show featuring the sports minister, tune in to RTV at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. And for future shows, Locker Room with host Marcellus Hall airs right here on RTV on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Still ahead on our news tonight, the Good to Me Summer Festival kicks off this weekend. And a beautiful but warm few days ahead. Greg is back with your weekend forecast. It's all coming up when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. A chance of thunderstorms this weekend. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look around the tropics in our extended outlook.
Thanks again, Jamila, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather on this last day of the week, Friday. Beautiful conditions outside. Get to that in a few minutes, but the tropics, we are going to take a look at that. A couple of tropical waves moving across the tropical belt. First one that we were watching over the last couple of days has basically fizzled out. There's some convection still associated with it, but it's moving into an area that's not very conducive for formation. Upper level sharing as well as some Saharan dust is going to affect that system over the next couple of days. We also have a couple of waves moving, one just off the African coast. That's not really showing any signs of development, and you notice just another one just on the west coast of Africa. That's going to be moving off the African coast in another day or two. So a series of tropical waves moving across the tropical belt, but the tropics will remain quiet over the next 5 days. As I mentioned, upper level low spinning across the area, generating some isolated showers and some thunderstorms. mainly across the southeast and the northwest Bahamas. Central Bahamas remaining rather clear because there's not too much in terms of any activity there. But that upper level low will slide out towards the west and move into the Gulf of Mexico by the weekend. Behind that, the ridge of high pressure will dominate our weather over the next several days, actually into next week. We're looking at some beautiful hot conditions as well as some very nice boating conditions for the next several days. Winds are going to fall light and variable over the ocean, so get out there and enjoy. Speaking of boating forecast, for all areas tonight through tomorrow, your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 9:03 tonight. Those winds will fall light and variable at times, and your seas will go kind of flat. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast into the weekend, beautiful conditions, a chance of some spotty showers expected, but all in all, it should be very hot and very nice. As a matter of fact, boating conditions excellent for the weekend, so do get out there and enjoy. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe evening and a very beautiful weekend, everybody.
Thanks, Greg. A new summer fest for families coming to Nassau this weekend on the grounds of the flag football field at Queen Elizabeth Sports Center. Organizers say they are looking to use the Good to Me Summer Festival as a platform for local gospel artists to promote new music. Partner Travis Edgecombe says attendees will have a host of new music to explore.
The gospel industry is always looking for platforms where our artists are able to showcase their new music. We have quite a few new music that's already been out for the summer, and we would want them to sing it live and for people to get it into the ears of the people who may not have heard it yet on the radio.
Edgecombe says they're also hoping to create a safe environment and are likening the event to Coachella. Artists on the lineup include Sturman, Davian Chase, and Iman. Many local vendors will participate along with activities for the children for everyone to have fun.
We want to create an environment that is safe and that is able for the family to come to and it can be a staple every summer, because you don't really hear much about summer festivals in the gospel industry. So this is something that is new, it's fresh. We have a special theme names for the sets of artists that will be performing. We have a Summer Breeze set, we have a Tropical Punch set, we have a Sandcastle set, and an Island Breeze set.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Jamila Missick. Have a wonderful evening.